Shalom and welcome once again to Elders of GMS. My name is Elder Tahar. To my left is
Elder Ramlab.
And we also have the researcher with us, as usual, Elder Gabar. Today's topic is a continuation of the title, an in-depth focus on the tribes of Israel, or in-depth focus on the Israelites, but we're going to focus on the tribe of Ephraim and the tribe of Issachar. So the actual title is an in-depth focus on the tribes of Ephraim and Issachar. All right? And we're going to go right into it. And we got some video clips to go with the scriptures and the information that we have here. What I want to do is I want to go right to the point. Let's go to the book of Hosea. And we're dealing with the tribe of Ephraim. Let's go to the book of Hosea, the 7th chapter. Matter of fact, you know what? Start at Genesis. Genesis 49, verses 22 to 26. But start at the first verse and then jump right down to the 22nd verse. As we know, the tribe of Ephraim, according to the breakdown of Ariah, Elder Ariah, High Priest Ariah, which now he's got them spirits on him right now, you know, and you know, Lord willing, he'll come out of that nonsense that he's in. But the Most High, you know, worked on him to bring these breakdowns of these tribes out, because Abba knew that they were of the tribes, but he didn't know how to put them together. Ephraim, you know, Judah, Gad, so forth. And the Spirit, you know, jumped on Ariah many years ago to have him break it down. So we're just going back on it because a lot of you brothers out there, you know, you put the sign together, you know, and you say Ephraim is the Puerto Ricans and so forth. But a lot of you don't really know the full breakdown. You might have watched videos made by other Israelites breaking it down, whether you watched their whole series or not, and they went off on certain key points. Like, for example, Nathaniel 7, Nate Satan, and Bunyamin have made a series, and they went off here and there. Okay, so we're just basically going back into the breakdowns. All right, this is considered basics, but it's really a complicated subject. All right? All right, go ahead, Art.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 1. And Jacob called unto his sons and said, Gather yourselves together, that I may tell you that which shall befall you in the last days. Yeah,
and as we know, the last days started 2,000 years ago. If you go to Hebrews, the 1st chapter, it'll tell you that. When the Lord came on the scene, that was the beginning of the end of this system. Because it started off as a Roman Empire, and this is the last leg of the Roman Empire. Even though they don't call themselves the Roman Empire, you know, if you go to their school system, they teach you what? Roman numerals, Greek mythology, because the Romans came out of the Greek Empire. That's why certain scholars call it the Greco-Roman Empire, because the Romans adopted things from the Greeks, and they were all Edomites any damn way. Okay? Go ahead.
Gather yourselves together and hear, ye sons of Jacob, and hearken unto Israel your father.
Now jump down to the 22nd verse.
Verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well.
Now let's deal with Joseph. Now Joseph is Ephraim. Now how can we prove that? We can go to two scriptures right quick. The first one is in Numbers. The second one is in the first one is in Numbers chapter 1 verse 32. And the second one is in Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. All right? All right, let's go to the first one, which is Numbers.
Numbers chapter 1, verse 32. Of the children of Joseph, namely of the children of Ephraim.
Yeah, read that again.
Of the children of Joseph, namely of the children of Ephraim.
That's right. So when you come across that word Joseph, it's really talking about Ephraim. All right? Now go from there to the book of Revelation, the 7th chapter. Then we're going to jump back to Ezekiel, the 37th chapter. All right? So let's go to Revelation the 7th chapter, and let's start from the very top.
Revelation chapter 7 and 1.
The key point starts in the 4th verse where it goes into the tribes, 12,000 out of each tribe, but I want to start from the very top.
Revelation 7 and 1. And after these things I saw 4 angels standing on the 4 corners of the earth, holding the 4 winds of the earth, that the wind should not blow on the earth, nor on the sea, nor on any tree. And I saw another angel ascending from the east, having the seal of the living power. And he cried with a loud voice to the 4 angels to whom it was given to hurt the earth and the sea, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads.
Now that earth that they're saying, hurt not the earth, nor the trees, nor the seas, is talking about over here in America. It's the angels' job to totally destroy this place. Alright? If you've been keeping up with the news, you know they got over 10,000 troops and a number of battleships
US warships and aircraft
with
carriers,
the U.S. battleship and Israel over there basically surrounding
heading towards the Persian Gulf.
Iran. So any day now, any week now, could be a couple of days. You could wake up tomorrow morning or the next week. You know, you're getting ready to go to work or whatever you do Monday morning or Wednesday or whatever, and you know, breaking news. You know, war has been declared against Iran by the U.S. and Israel. All right. And now when right, they already say what you're gonna say.
Obama already signed the order to go to war with Iran, and they said that this is the first time since World War II that Congress has declared war on any country.
So you know, we're almost out of here, man. There's basically 2 principal last prophecies, that and the chip, the mark of the beast. All right, go ahead, read that again.
Right, it says, saying, Hurt not the earth, neither the sea, nor the trees, till we have sealed the servants of our power in their foreheads. And I heard the number of them which were sealed, and there were sealed 144,000 of all the tribes of the children of Israel.
Now you notice it said all the tribes of the children of Israel, because there's a big controversy with the tribe of Dan. But who's speaking here? When you go to Revelation, the 1st chapter, this is given to John by YAHAWAH, bahasham YAHAWASHI, by YAHAWASHI himself. So if he knows what's what, if anybody knows what's what, it has to be him. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Judah were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi were sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph was sealed 12,000.
Of the tribe of Joseph, now the brother read earlier, Numbers, the 1st chapter and 32nd verse, that Joseph is Ephraim. Go ahead.
Of the tribe of Benjamin was sealed 12,000. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palms in their hands.
Now you read that and you say, well, okay, that's talking about 12,000 out of each tribe, but that multitude is talking about the rest of the nations. We'll go from there to the book of Revelation, the 5th chapter, and start from the let's start up above that. Let's start at the 3rd verse.
Okay. Revelation 5 and 3. And no man in heaven nor on earth, neither under the earth.
You know what? Start at the top so we can get the full understanding.
Revelation 5 and 1. And I saw in the right hand of him that sat on the throne a book written within and on the backside, sealed with 7 seals.
That's this word, and it's sealed. That's why people can't break it down. The only ones that can break it down is the prophets of the Lord. Go ahead.
It says, And I saw a strong angel proclaiming with a loud voice, Who is worthy to open the book and to loose the seals thereof? And no man in heaven nor on earth, neither under the earth, was able to open the book, neither to look thereon. And I wept much, because no man was found worthy to open and to read the book, neither to look thereon. And one of the elders saith unto me, Weep not, behold, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the root of David, hath prevailed to open the book and to loose the 7 seals thereof. And I beheld, and lo, in the midst of the throne and of the 4 elders, and in the midst of the elders, stood a lamb as it had been slain, having 7 horns and 7 eyes, which are the 7 spirits of the Most High sent forth into all the earth.
No, that's self-explanatory. That's talking about the Lord. He was sacrificed for us. Go ahead.
And he came and took the book out of the right hand of him that sat upon the throne. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Hold up. Hold up. Read that again.
And they sung a new,
for God so loved the world, right? Go ahead.
And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book, and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain, and hast redeemed us to the Most High by thy blood, out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation.
Now, when the Lord came on the scene, who did he die for? He died for the nation of Israel. So that multitude is talking about the rest of Israel. That's why he told his disciples to go not into the way of the Gentiles. Now you might say, well, what about Cornelius? Cornelius was an Israelite. That's what you don't understand. All right? Give me the book of Matthew 1:21.
Matthew chapter 1.
Did it say saint in that same chapter? If you read up above that?
In
Revelation 5.
Yeah, the prayer of the saints. Yep.
Okay. Hold that verse.
St. Matthew chapter 1 verse 21. And she shall bring forth a son, and thou shalt call his name YAHAWASHI.
Now this is what the angel Gabriel told Joseph and Mary to name their son. Because normally you name your son what you wanted to name him, but there was a reason why the angel said name him that. Why? Because that was an omen nomen. And Gabar always speaks about that omen nomen, which is a name sign. Alright? Now the reason why they said name him Jesus, but in the Hebrew was YAHAWASHI. The word YAHAWASHI means he deliver. Alright? Go ahead.
And thou shalt call his name Jesus, YAHAWASHI, for he shall save his people from their sins.
Now who was the Lord's people? Israelites. He came out of Israelites. He came to save Israelites. So how in the hell can you get all the other nations up in there? You can't. Go ahead.
Matthew 2:6. And thou Bethlehem in the land of Judah are not the least among the princes of Judah, for out of thee shall come a governor that shall rule my people Israel.
That's plain. That's plain. Now let's go back to Revelation, the 5th chapter, where you left off. Focus on the word saints.
Okay. Revelation chapter 5 verse 8. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and 24 elders fell down before the Lamb, having every one of them harps and golden vials full of odors, which are the prayers of saints.
So it's talking about the saints. Now who are the saints? Give me Psalms 148 and I believe 13 and 14. All right, go ahead.
Psalms chapter 148 verse 13. Let them praise the name of the Lord, for his name alone.
Now that means that this group of people know the name of the Lord. Okay, go ahead.
Let them praise.
Because that's the key to the Lord, knowing his name and his son's name. You can't just go straight to the Lord. You got to go to the Lord through his son. So you have to know his name. That's the key that unlocks the door, so to speak. So if you don't know the name, the Most High is not going to listen to your prayers. Go ahead.
Let them praise the name of the Lord, for his name alone is excellent.
Why do you think the word name, the word name is in the Bible so much? Because a name is important. You got these guys saying you can call them anything you want. You can call them Yo Play Yogurt. You got Nate Satan teaching his people under him that the name is not important, or he's giving you the wrong name.
Philosophies of the world.
Yahweh,
Another man,
Yahshua.
another woman, founded on lies.
Go ahead.
Okay.
For his
Think
name
contrary
alone
to
is
Christ.
excellent.
Go ahead.
His
And
glory
the way
is above the
he's
earth
sitting in
and
the
heaven.
first and the
He
way
also
you would
exalted
be
the
above
horn
that
of his
because
people,
when you come to
the
this
praise
church-
of all his saints, even of the children of Israel, a people near unto him. Praise ye the Lord.
Now that's plain, man. So you got people that say that they'll read that verse, but yet come back and say all nations could be saved. The reason why they say that, because they're not men of, give me Amos 3 and 7.
Amos chapter 3 verse 7. Surely the Lord power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secrets unto his servants the prophets.
Yeah. And that's plain and to the point, man. That's why you guys can't get it. All right. Now let's go back to
Revelation 7 about the 12 tribes.
let's go back to that.
Okay. Revelation chapter 7 verse 5. Of the tribe of Judah was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Reuben was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Gad was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Asher was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Naphtali was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Manasseh was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Simeon was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Levi was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Issachar was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Zebulun was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Joseph was sealed 12,000. Of the tribe of Benjamin was sealed 12,000. After this I beheld, and lo, a great multitude, which no man could number, of all nations and kindreds and people and tongues, stood before the throne and before the Lamb.
Now you know what that last verse means. It's talking about the rest of Israel. Because all Israel is going to be saved. All right? Now let's go from there back to Genesis, the 49th chapter, and the 26th verse to the 22nd verse to the 26th verse. All right, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 49 verse 22. Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well.
Now give me the blue letter, brother. Give me the blue letter. Open up another tab and give me the blue letter, and give him the verse.
Genesis 49 and verse 22.
Read it again.
Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well.
Now we're going to find out. I know what the word means, but we're going to find out what the word bow means. All right? I read that out.
Yeah, we're in the blue letter. Son, male, child, grandson, children, male and female. They went off there. Youth, young men, sons, people. That's pretty much it. Repetition.
So the word bow, now a bow is something that is like a branch that comes out of a tree. So if the tree's right here, the fruit of the tree come from the stock of the tree, I guess you can say. So in this sense, it's talking about the sons of Ephraim. All right, go ahead.
This is Psalms 127 and 3. Lo, children are an heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. As arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are children of the youth. Happy is the man that hath his quiver full of them. They shall not be ashamed, but they shall speak with the enemies in the gate.
Now let's go back to where we left off in Genesis.
Genesis 49 verse 22. It says, Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well.
Now, you notice it said Joseph is a fruitful bow. Hence the name Ephraim. Because it's not talking about Joseph the man. It's talking about one of his two sons. He had two sons, Ephraim and Manasseh. Manasseh was the firstborn son. Ephraim was the secondborn son. Now, according to law and custom, the inheritance went to your oldest son. All right? Now, when Joseph went, and you can read the story yourself, when Joseph went before Jacob to get his sons blessed, Jacob put his hand his principal hand, which was his right hand, on Ephraim's head, and Joseph said, "No, that's wrong. That's not the oldest son." But the Spirit was working through Jacob, because Jacob was going to be the principal son. I mean, Ephraim was going to be the principal son out of Joseph's 2 sons. And Ephraim is a bigger tribe than Manasseh. All right? Read that again.
Joseph is a fruitful bow, even a fruitful bow by a well, whose branches run over the wall.
Now, a well is where you get water. When you go down the island of Puerto Rico, there's nothing but water over there, man. Nothing but water. Nothing but tropical conditions down there. You can be homeless down there all year round and do well. You can pick the fruits off the trees. Because we got brothers in the camp that actually went to Puerto Rico. You can literally live off the land, man. All right, go ahead.
Whose branches run over the wall. The precept on the branches is daughters.
Right. Look up the word branches now. Look up the word branches.
Same verse 22, same verse.
So as soon as you get it, all right. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, the Hebrew word there for branches is I'm gonna click on it. Is yeah, they got.
But they got bayat.
Oh, they got bath. Looks like bath.
It's supposed to be banat.
Yeah. Well, like Elder Tar said, it's supposed to be banaf, which is the Hebrew word for daughter. But they do have the correct definition. The word there is baf they have, but it says daughter, daughter, girl, adopted daughter, daughter-in-law. Anyway, the definition is daughter.
So that bough and that branch going over the wall is talking about what? The tribe of Ephraim coming over here to the Americas. Because out of all the tribes, what you got to understand is Judah was already over here based upon slavery. The first major tribe to come over here of the rest of the tribes were Ephraim. Now I know that the 40s, maybe even the 30s, right? The mid 30s, into the 40s, on up until the 50s and 60s, you had Puerto Ricans coming up here to the Americas, long before the Brazilians, the tribe of Asher, long before Issachar, long before these other tribes as a bulk. And then maybe around the 60s you had Issachar coming up here, but then again you had a lot of Issacharites living over there in the west too, because Mexico is right under California. But the major tribe that came to the Americas and bulk was Ephraim, outside of Judah. All right.
All right. It says whose branches run over the wall.
Whose branches run over the wall. It's talking about they left Puerto Rico to come to America to have a better life. All right. Go ahead.
The archers have sorely grieved him.
The archers is talking about Esau, the so-called white man, first in the form of the conquistadors, which means the conquerors, which at first came from Spain. Then when you came over here, you caught hell over here, man. Now let's go from there to the book of Hosea, the 9th chapter and the 13th verse. And these breakdowns are spiritual, because you can have somebody say, nah, they ain't talking about that, can mean this, because your spirit is not connected to these scriptures and to the Most High, YAHAWASHI. That's why a lot of our people is not going to get this, man. They're not going to get this information because their mind is not open up and their spirit is not open up to receive this. That's why YAHAWASHI told the disciples when he was breaking down that John the Baptist as Elijah, what did he say? He broke it down to him 2 times in Matthew's. 2 different times in Matthew's. And he said, what? In Matthew's 11, I believe it was. He said, if you can receive this. Because not everybody's going to receive it. All right, go ahead.
Read this real quick, Elder Torah. This is Romans 11:7. What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded.
Yeah, so you can't, if the Most High deem you to be blind to this knowledge, guess what? You're gonna stay blind. You can't make yourself get this word. Okay? And a lot of you brothers that when you first saw us on YouTube, you got into it and then you went the right route and you set up camps, you learned this word, you set up camps and you're out there teaching. But there was some of you guys that got this knowledge, acknowledged that we had the truth, but you brought it out your own way. Okay, you went a different way. You wasn't grounded in. So you got some of those guys that are bucking up against us now because they didn't go through the straight gate. Okay? Go ahead.
Hosea chapter 9 verse 13. Ephraim, as I saw Tyrus, is planted in a pleasant place.
Puerto Rico is a pleasant place. Go ahead.
But Ephraim shall bring forth his children to the murderer.
Now that's plain. Like I said, the first tribe out of the outside of the tribe of Judah, out of all the tribes, Ephraim was the first to come to the Americas in bulk. Just like Judah came to the Americas, was brought over here against his will, and to serve him in America in bulk, Ephraim was the same way. Okay? Because you have Ephraimites that were born in Puerto Rico that refer to the Ephraimites that are in the Americas, mainly New York. Because a lot of Ephraimites came to New York. A lot of Ephraimites went to Chicago, certain major cities, to get work. Now you got Ephraimites that moved down to Florida. You got a lot of Ephraimites down there in the South. You got a lot of Ephraimites living in Pennsylvania, man. Okay? But the Puerto Ricans, the so-called Puerto Ricans that were born in Puerto Rico, they refer to the Puerto Ricans up here in New York as New Yorkers. Like you're really not Puerto Ricans. It goes back to what? Judah looking at the tribes in the Gentile state of mind, for lack of a better word, you're not our people. They actually have relatives, man. You actually have cousins that live down in Puerto Rico. You have the same blood relatives, but them cousins, your same blood, they say, well, you're really not a Puerto. Well, how can you really not be a Puerto Rican when you're actually blood cousins? Okay? All right, go ahead, Ak.
Verse 14. Give them, O Lord, what wilt thou give them?
That's all I wanted. Okay, that's all I wanted. Now let's go back to Genesis 49. What verse did we leave off in? 23.
The archers have sorely grieved him and shot at him and hated him.
That's talking about Esau. Whether you you're referring to Esau over here in the Americas, or whether you're talking about the Edomites during the time of the conquistadors coming over here or going to the islands, they all hated the tribe of Ephraim just like they hate the tribe of Judah. Go ahead.
It says, but his bow abode in strength, and the arms of his hands were made strong by the hand of the mighty power of Jacob.
What did it mean by that? Them Edomites wanted to get that gold. That's why they call that land Puerto Rico, rich port, because they wanted to kill off all the Ephraimites, the tribe of Ephraim, so they can get that gold and they can get that land. But the Most High blessed them. Part of their blessing was to be fruitful. That's why the word Ephraim, the tribe Ephraim, means fruitful. They're going to have a lot of children. All right?
From thence is the shepherd, the stone of Israel, even by the power or the God of thy fathers, who shall help thee, and by the Almighty, who shall bless thee with blessings of heaven above, blessings of the deep that lieth under, blessings of the breast and of the womb. The blessings of thy father have prevailed above the blessings of my progenitors, unto the utmost bound of the everlasting hills. They shall be on the head of Joseph, and the crown of the head of him that was separate from his brethren.
Right. The separate from his brethren is talking about starting with Manasseh and so forth. All right? Now let's go from there. What verse did you just read?
Verse 26.
Okay, that was verse 26. Did you finish verse 26? Okay, now let's go from there to Hosea, the 7th chapter, and we're going to read the whole chapter. Go ahead.
Hosea chapter 7 verse 1. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria. For they commit falsehood, and the thief cometh in, and the troop of robbers spoileth without.
That's some Edomites, like I said earlier. Go ahead.
And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, as an oven heated by the baker, who ceaseth from raising after he hath kneaded the dough until it be leavened. In the day of our king the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners, for they have made ready their heart like an oven, whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleepeth all night, in the morning it burneth it.
Now let's go back to he stretched out his hand with scorners. Go ahead.
Alright, it says, in the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with the bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners.
The bottles of wine is talking about these philosophies. The number one philosophy that they drunk on is Roman Catholicism. Heavy. Okay? Go ahead.
For they have made ready their heart like an oven, whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleepeth all the night, in the morning.
Go back to scorners.
Okay. In the day of our kings, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine.
Roman Catholicism, number one. Go ahead.
He stretcheth out his hand with scorners.
He stretches out his hand with scorners. That's why you don't see too many Ephraimites in the camp, man. It's a rare thing that you see Ephraimites in the camp. You see some of them starting to come in now. But a lot of times when we're speaking, right, you might see a Jake or Edomite buck up against what we're saying. Then some simple ass Ephraimite will come up and he'll join hands. Yeah, them guys ain't right. We got to love every damn body. That's what that's talking about. Go ahead. Because they love the hell out of Caesar. They love Caesar more than Caesar loves his damn self, man. Go ahead.
For they have made ready their heart like an oven, whilst they lie in wait. Their baker sleepeth all the night. In the morning it burneth as a flaming fire. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them that calleth unto me. Right, if I may say this.
Yeah, they ain't calling unto the Lord, man. They're calling unto Caesar Borgia. Go ahead.
Well, that was it. They call on the Caesar. They don't call on the Most High, because they believe, because they kind of look a little close to what Caesar Borgia looks like. They want to call on that name. It says Ephraim, and I mean I have to say is my mother had that damn picture of Caesar Borgia's up on the wall, and I happened to go over there one day, and she had, you know, an old picture of me, you know, when I was like younger, like a teenager. She had the picture all inside of the picture of Caesar, and I said, "Mom, why you got my picture with the devil?" She said, "Ay Dios mío," you know, like she got, like she was. And then when I went back there again the next time, the picture was gone. Just Caesar Borgia's picture was up. Ephraim,
yeah, because she said, "The hell with my son. I'm gonna continue to love Jesus." Now she ain't gonna tell you that, but that's why she, you know.
Yeah, that's right. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people.
Ephraim, he has mixed himself among the people. You know, them Ephraimite women, they love them damn Edomites, man. And them Ephraimite dudes, they love them damn Edomites, especially if you got blonde hair and blue eyes. And then Ephraimite women, they love to bleach their damn hair, man. All right.
Hey, I'm sorry.
Well, these are experts right here. We got two experts that actually Ephraimites. All right, go ahead.
Hey, like my pops, right? My pops, one time, because my pops, you know, he's a Taino, right? So he came to me. He said, yeah. He said, man. He said, this is when I was like a little boy. Like, well, actually, I was like a teenager. He said, man, them blonde hair and blue eyed women. He said, you know, well, actually, he just said blonde hair women. He said, wow. He loved them damn Edomite looking women, man. Because my mother, she has like dark hair. She's like, you know, she's fair skinned like me. She has I think her natural color of her hair is black, but she would always dye it blonde, you know, basically because of my father. You know, it says Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people, Ephraim is a cake not turned. Right, so that basically what that means is like you cook a pancake or a cake on one side, but you don't flip it. The one side is going to be dark, and the other side is going to be light. And that's how the tribe of Ephraim is. You have some dark and some light. Because not all the tribe of Ephraim is light-skinned. You know, you did have Judah and Benjamin that went down in there that actually mingled in among the rest of Ephraim. That's where you got some that are dark-skinned. But you have some actual Ephraimites that were dark-skinned before Jake even got there. Then when the conquistadors came, when they mixed with the conquistadors, that's why you had some...
Well, let's bring it out the right way. When them conquistadors was raping them and killing them.
Right.
But...
That's when they started getting lighter, and then some of the darker Ephraimites, they started getting with the lighter women, and then that's with a whole big
yeah, because they hated their black skin. And then another thing, if you a dark Puerto Rican, the lighter skinned ones shun you, man. Right. You know, like you got a curse on you. I know that for a fact. All right.
Yeah, that's just like Jake up here. You always had the dark-skinned Jakes fighting against the light-skinned Jakes. It's the same thing down there. Ephraim, he hath mixed himself among the people. Ephraim is a cake not turned. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth.
The strangers is the so-called white man, Esau. Go ahead.
It says, strangers have devoured his strength, and he knoweth it not. Yea, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knoweth not.
That's right. There was one time I was speaking on Fordham Road years ago, and I was breaking down the tribe of Ephraim, because up there on Fordham Road, you have a lot of Ephraimites, right? So we would always kind of go into the breakdown of Ephraim, because we had Ephraimites in front of us. So there was one guy, grown Ephraimite dude, so he was listening to the scriptures, right? And you can see he was smirking about it. And then when I got to that verse right there, gray hairs are here and there upon him, and he had gray hairs here and there upon him. And when I read that, his eyes popped open. And I said, Poppy, you tell me you're not an Ephraimite? And he kind of stood there, but eventually he walked down the street. All right? Go ahead.
And the pride of Israel doth testify to his face.
And that's us. We testify to their face. Tell them that you are of the tribe of Ephraim. And they buck up against it. Remember we read about the part about the scorners? Yep. They join their hands with the scorners. Go ahead.
And they do not return to the Lord their power. No,
they want to go back and worship Caesar, man. And there's one Ephraimite woman. We was on Wall Street, right? And well, we've been all over the place. I've been all over the place. I've been to so many different places speaking, out on the highways and the byways. Unlike some of you cats out there. We used to go to Wall Street Gabar, you was with me and other brothers. We used to go out there 4 times. The Most High freed us up at one point where we didn't even have to work, because people kind of, people that would listen, they would kind of give money, so we were kind of making money that way. So we didn't have to work at a certain point. We were blessed on that level, and we were going out like 4 to 5 days a week. So all during the week we would go out, and then on the weekend we would go out, right? So I was speaking to this Ephraimite, the older Ephraimite chick came by, and I was basically cursing everybody out, and then she bucked up, and I cursed her out, and she said, "What are you doing with Jesus?" I said, "You said this is Jesus?" I said, "Let me tell you what I think about this Jesus." And I slammed the thing on the ground, and the bitch almost caught a heart attack, man. She looked like Fred Sanford, man. Well, as soon as I threw that thing, she said, "I ain't you, it was me." Go ahead. That's how they do, man. I mean, there are sins into that Caesar Borgia bullshit, man. Now Issachar, they into that shit too, but at least they'll make a Issacharite version of Caesar. It don't look nothing like Caesar. It just look like an Issacharite, you know. He might have a feather tip to the side, man. You know, with a woman in his arms. Go ahead.
And the pride of Israel testifieth to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their power, nor seek him for all this. Ephraim also is like a silly dove without heart.
Yeah, Ephraim is known for their silliness, man. Go ahead.
They shall call to Egypt and go to Assyria. When they shall go...
Egypt to Assyria is really talking about Puerto Rico to America, because Assyria and Egypt are spiritual terms for America. All right? So they went from one part of America, because in Puerto Rico you can get welfare, you can get the Social Security, you know. You don't need a passport to go to Puerto Rico, because it's it's basically almost like a state. It's not exactly a state, but it's almost like a state. And they actually have a governor down there based upon this system up here in America. All right? That's why Ephraim could go to Puerto Rico and come back as many times as they want. They don't deport you to Puerto. They don't need no passport. All right? Go ahead.
When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of the heaven. I will chastise them as the congregation hath heard. Woe unto them, for they have fled from me. Destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. Though I have redeemed them, yet they have spoken lies against me. And they have not cried unto me with their heart, when they howled upon their beds. They assembled themselves for corn and wine, and they rebelled against me. Though I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me. They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt.
Right, in the land of America. And they catching hell. They figure they're going to come over here to receive a better life. And they basically living just like Judah. All right? Living in the ghettos, man. All right, now let's go from there to the book of Hosea, the 4th chapter, and the 17th verse. And then immediately from Hosea 4, verse 17, go to Hosea 8 and 4. All right, go ahead.
All right, Hosea chapter 4, verse 17. Ephraim is joined to idols. Let him alone.
Now that's plain, man. You see an Ephraimite, they'll have in their car about 50 saints in their damn dashboards, man. They'll have saints in the back of their daggone car. You go to their house, you can call that house or that apartment the Caesar Borgia Museum. Like my wife's mother, she got about 50 Caesar Borgias all throughout the house, in the damn bathroom, in the kitchen. When you open up the refrigerator, Caesar, there's a picture of Caesar up in there. All right? In the drawers, you open up the drawers to get some socks, Caesar's head will pop up. I mean, all over the place, man. And one day I got so mad, I cursed her and her sister out and said, why you got these goddamn devils all up in your house, man? The pride of Israel testifies to their face, right? But yet they don't turn to the Most High. Go ahead.
So Hosea 8 and 4, was it, Elder Torah?
Okay, Hosea, you just finished reading Hosea 4 and 17, right?
Gone.
Now jump to Hosea 8 and 4.
Hosea chapter 8, verse 4. They have set up kings, but not by me. They have made princes, and I knew it not. Of silver and their gold have they made.
That's their idols. Go ahead.
And their gold have they made. Of their silver and their gold have they made them idols, that they may be cut off.
Now let's go to the origins of that. Give me the book of 1 Kings, the 12th chapter, the 22nd verse to the 28th verse. Like I said, another thing. This is the only tribe that has a car that the headlights got Caesar Borgia on the damn car, man. I mean, I don't know how it is out in them other states, man, but in New York, you can tell an Ephraimite by the idols. He got the American flag hanging off the back of his damn car. With the Puerto Rican flag. I'm sorry, the Puerto Rican flag I meant to say. At night when he puts them damn headlights on, you got a beam of 2 Caesar Borgias looking at your ass. So tell me that they ain't into idol worship, man. Heavy. Go ahead. And then them other tribes got into that idol worship stuff because they were following Ephraim. All right? Go ahead.
Verse 22, right? 1 Kings 12 and 22. But the word of the Most High came unto Shemaiah, the man of God, saying, Speak unto Rehoboam, the son of Solomon, king of Judah, and unto all the house of Judah and Benjamin, and to the remnant of the people, saying, Thus saith the Lord, You shall not go up, nor fight against your brethren, the children of Israel.
Right. Now this is talking about that split during the time of Rehoboam and Jeroboam. Now the prophet came to Jeroboam, ripped his garments off and ripped it into 12 pieces, and said, "You're gonna take 10 of them." At that time, that's when Dan was around. All right, you're gonna take 10 of them, and when you go into Levi was scattered among all the tribes. Okay, that's why they said the two tribes, Judah and Benjamin, stayed. That's what the split was all about. But eventually what happened was Jeroboam told all of the Levites to leave the suburbs, and they went back with Judah and Benjamin. So there was 3 tribes on this side, and there was 10 tribes on the other side of the world eventually. Go ahead.
Return every man to his house, for this thing is from me. They hearkened therefore to the word of the Lord and returned to depart.
Yeah, because there was one king. Now, if you're going to rebel and break off from your king, you're looking to fight these people. You're looking to fight these Israelites that broke off, that showed no fealty to the king. Because Jeroboam sat up like he was a king, and he actually became a king. Because you actually had 2 different kingdoms. Go ahead.
According to the word of the Lord. Then Jeroboam built Shechem in Mount Ephraim, and dwelt therein, and went out from thence and built Penuel. And Jeroboam said in his heart, Now shall the kingdom return to the house of David. If this people go up to do sacrifice in the house of the Lord at Jerusalem, then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord.
Right. So he was set up to take them away from Rehoboam, which was the son of Solomon. And he was saying, you know what, I got to do something quick, because they might get back in order and go back to following the line of David, King David, and go back to worshiping the Lord. So this is what this guy did. Go ahead.
Then shall the heart of this people turn again unto their Lord, even unto Rehoboam king of Judah, and they shall kill me, and go again to Rehoboam king of Judah. Whereupon the king took counsel, and made 2 calves of gold, and said unto them, It is too much for you to go up to Jerusalem. Behold, thy gods, O Israel, which brought thee up out of the land of Egypt. And he set the one in Bethel, and the other he put in Dan.
Now, did you hear that? Now, when you go back to the story of the exodus of Israel leaving Mizraim, or Egypt, as they call it today, they had took gold and they had made one golden calf. All right? So you know the story about that. So that shows you when they left Egypt and they was in the wilderness for 40 years, all of them had died off, and their children lived in the wilderness and went to the promised land. So what were their parents telling them? On pushing that golden calf bullshit, saying that really, you know who delivered us? The golden calf. So when he brought that back, that's when they said, oh, we with this guy now. Go ahead.
Real quick. This is 2 Kings 17:8. And walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel. And verse 7. For so it was that the children of Israel had sinned against the Lord their power, which had brought them up out of the land of Egypt, from under the hand of Pharaoh king of Egypt, and had feared other gods, and walked in the statutes of the heathen, whom the Lord cast out from before the children of Israel, and of the kings of Israel which they had made. And the children of Israel did secretly those things that were not right against the Lord their power. And they built them high places in all their cities, from the tower of the watchman to the fenced city.
And that's plain. So they kept those idols in their heart. All right. So what verse are we in Kings?
Verse 30.
Okay, you know what? So we got the point on that, right? Now let's go from there to Hosea, the 13th chapter, the 2nd verse, and then immediately jump to the 16th verse. All right, go ahead.
Hosea chapter 13 verse 2. And now they sin more and more, and have made them molten images of their silver, and idols according to their own.
Right, the two, that's how Jeroboam got them, with those 2 golden calves. Go ahead.
Images of their silver and idols according to their own understanding. All of it the work of the craftsman, They say of them, let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves.
Let the men that sacrifice kiss the calves. Because they had that calf thing was heavy, man. That was like a drug over them. So that's why. Oh, right. Yep. Yeah, like you got images today. You got the bull of what do you call this? The bull of Stock Jobber, the sacred bull of Stock Jobber. All right. Let's go from there because we read the second verse, right? Now let's jump to the 16th verse.
Verse 16. It says, Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her power. They shall fall by the sword, their infants shall be dashed in pieces.
Now this is further which we read earlier about the conquistadors going to that land. And what do? They try to slaughter them. They try to destroy them as a people. That's why when you go back to Genesis the 49th chapter, it tells you that the Most High strengthened them, man, and made them fruitful. That these Edomites that hated them couldn't totally destroy them. So the Lord knew exactly what he was doing. Now read that again.
Right. It says, Samaria shall become desolate, for she hath rebelled against her power. They shall fall by the sword, their infants shall be dashed in pieces, and their women with child shall be ripped up.
Now there's no record of that happening over there in Israel. So obviously Samaria is another name for Ephraim. Ephraim being on this side of the world, the western hemisphere, and this island which they call Puerto Rico. When the conquistadors came in there, there's accounts where they were chopping the woman's stomach open and the baby would fall out, and they would stomp on the head of the baby. But you're going to tell me you want to save Esau, man? It's in his DNA to be the damn devil. He's doing a wonderful job being the devil. All right, you got something in the book? Go ahead.
This is the book Lost Tribes and Promised Lands by Ronald Sanders, and it's chapter 14 under Bartolome de las Casas. It says, in his brief relation of the destruction of the Indies, Bartolome de las Casas writes of the massacre at Cholula that, as 5,000 or 6,000 Indians were being put to the sword, Cortés sang this snatch of an old Spanish song. Mira Nero de Tarpeya, a Roma como se ardía, gritos dan niños y viejos, y él de nada se dolía. Nero looked out from Tarpeia at Rome while it burned. The young and old cried out, and he was troubled by none of it.
Yeah, so in other words, them Edomites, when they were killing them babies and raping them women and killing them women and killing the men and chopping their head off, they didn't care about it. They didn't shed a tear. But all of a sudden, for some reason, Esau changed. Now he's a good guy. He's one of the good guys now. Just like Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan was a bad guy. Then all of a sudden, overnight, he became a good guy. That's why you tribes, you're going to get messed up, man. Go ahead.
This must be taken as one of Las Casas' frequent embroideries of the truth, for the sake of dramatizing the monstrousness of Spaniards in the New World.
So monstrousness, another word for that is devils. That's why we call them devils. All right? So anyway, we hit the main points of the tribe of Ephraim. We covered that. Now we're going to go to the tribe of Issachar. And you know, there's a lot of history. You know, we can get a lot of history books and accounts, but we'll be here for hours going into that, man. But you got the main point, the main focus, mainly the scriptures. You got the main point. If you can't see that that's the tribe, talking about the tribe of Ephraim, then your eyes are not open. All right? But like the Lord told the disciples, you ain't going to receive everything. He said, if you are able to receive it. All right? That's right. All right, now we're going to deal with the tribe of Issachar. And I got a couple of clips on Issachar. The first scripture I want to go to is Genesis, the 49th chapter, the 14th and the 15th verse.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 14. Issachar is a strong ass couched down between two burdens. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant, and bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
Read that again, nice and slow.
It says Issachar is a strong Issachar is a strong ass couched down between two burdens.
Now, if you go to a travel agency and you want to go to Mexico, you go inside that travel agency. I don't know if they do it today, because I went to Mexico City back in '87. If you go into the travel agency, especially like I said, you have travel agencies that deal with. You can go to Europe, you can go to China, you can go to Mexico, you can go to Puerto Rico. But now, when I went to Mexico, the travel agency that I dealt with my woman was mainly my woman dealt with the preparations and all that, okay? Because she had went to school down there, so she knew how to speak Spanish, and so she was a Gadite, but she knew how to speak fluent Spanish and everything. And she had lived in Mexico for a while, going to school. So she talked me into going to Mexico. So I said, well, look, if I'm going, I'm going to bring literature, you know, and that's exactly what I did, you know. And them people took to this truth, man. When you told them that they were Issachar, they were one of the tribes of Israel. When you give them a literature, they would just stop whatever they were doing. They would even children. They would stop and read, and then they would ask you questions about the literature if they didn't understand certain things. I was on a train, they call it the Metro, and I had passed out literature to everybody on that train, right? And when I got off at the stop, I think more than about 60% of the people got off and surrounded me, and they were asking me all kind of questions about this information. So they took to it, man. Okay? So now when you go to that travel agency, before you go to Mexico, you might see posters up. You know, if you're gonna go to Spain, you might see posters of a mountain or some famous castle, or you might see you see a poster of Mexico, and sometimes you'll see an ass or a donkey with two burdens over the donkey's back. So that's what we're reading about right now. So let's read that again.
Issachar is a strong ass couched down between two burdens, and he saw that rest was good.
And he saw that rest was good. Now, we didn't go and look up the siesta. The siesta is when you would work early in the morning, and I believe it's 3 o'clock. Now, there's this mechanic I deal with his family. They're from Mexico. They can be working on your engine, man, and as soon as 3 o'clock hits, they'll stop everything, man, and they'll just sit down for an hour and eat and just lay back and relax. It's like there's a spurt on them. Yeah. And then if you can say, could you, no, you wait till 4 o'clock. You got to wait. Yeah. All right, that's how they are, because you had this thing where they bust their ass. By the way, Issachar means he is hired. Now, the way to pronounce it is not Yashakar, is Yashashka. Yashashka. Okay? Yashashka means he, the Yah, he hired, or he is hired. That's what it means. Because he became a servant to tribute. Because let me tell you something, I can't work the hours that Issachar can work, man. They work 18, 19 hours like it's nothing. Because it's in their DNA. Because the Most High made them that way. That's why, hence they got the name Issachar, Yashashka, which is an omen. He is hired. Okay? Read that again.
And he saw that rest was good.
So read it from the top.
Issachar is a strong ass couching down between two burdens. And he saw that rest was good, and the land that it was pleasant.
The land is pleasant, man. When I went down there, the smell of the land, you had palm trees down there. You had different type of trees and vegetables down there. You know, it was a whole different spirit. Go ahead.
And bowed his shoulder to bear, and became a servant unto tribute.
A servant unto tribute, meaning tribute means work. That's where the Spanish word trabajando, which means work. Okay, when you pay tribute to somebody, that's that word work. You work for somebody. Okay. All right, go ahead.
That was it on that.
That was it on that. All right, now let's go from there to the book of Deuteronomy, the 33rd chapter and the 18th verse. All right, go ahead.
Deuteronomy chapter 33 verse 18. And of Zebulun he said, Rejoice, Zebulun, in thy going out, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people unto the mountains. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand.
Read that last part again, the middle.
Okay, it says, there they shall offer...
Read the part where it goes into Issachar.
Okay, it says, and Issachar in the tents, and Issachar in thy tents. They shall call the people unto the mountain. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the sea.
Right. The part where they said about sacrifices of righteousness is a lot of them know that they're Israelites. Right. You run into enough of Mexicans, they'll tell you they know that they're Israelites. Now the reason why they know that they were Israelites, because I had the article, but I don't have time to really bring it out, but you can look it up for yourself. That during the time of the conquistadors, you had a lot of Spaniards and Moors, which were Israelites, come to Mexico. And then they would marry Mexican women, they would intermarry with them, and they would bring their custom of being an Israelite, or the Torah. So you had mixed families where you had Issachar marrying among the real Israelites and some so-called Jews. So they were actually praying to the Most High. They were following Torah. Now years ago, back when YAHAWAH was still living, I'm talking about back in the early 80s, he actually had an article where it was showing you that there was a group of Issacharites that actually take out the Torah and they do the Torah blessing and they keep the Passover. But I was trying to find that article and I couldn't find it. It's an old article. But if you do enough research, which I have found an article on the web, it tells you back in the 1500s and the 1600s, you had a lot of Israelites from Spain that came over here to the Americas, mainly Mexico. All right? Go ahead.
It says, and Issachar in thy tents. Then they shall call the people unto the mountains. There they shall offer sacrifices of righteousness, for they shall suck of the abundance of the seas and of the treasures hid in the sand.
And of the treasures hid in the sand. Now what treasure is hid in the sand? That Esau known about this back in the 1800s. I'm going to let the brother read this part of this article.
Yeah, this is from a web page entitled Oil. It says, although explorers drilled Mexico's first petroleum well in 1869, oil was not discovered until the turn of the 20th century. Commercial production crude oil began in 1901. By 1910, prospectors had begun to define the Panuco, Ibano, and Faja de Oro fields located near the central Gulf of Mexico coast town of Tuxpan. And systematic explorations by foreign companies came to supersede the uncoordinated efforts of speculative prospectors. Mexico began to export oil in 1911. Now there's a point down here in the third paragraph. I'll just read it. It says, Mexico was second only to the United States in petroleum output and led the world in oil exports. By the early 1930s, however, output had fallen to just 20% of its 1921 level as a consequence of worldwide economic depression.
Yeah, so the oil's still down there, man. Now, you know, down there in the Gulf of Mexico, they cracked the bottom of the sea right there, and they can't stop the oil. They wanted oil, now they're getting too much damn oil. All right? They want it, so they got it. You got some more?
Yeah, reading on further, it says Mexico's oil output expanded at an average annual rate of 6% between 1938 and 1971. Production increased from 44 million barrels in 1938 to 78 million barrels in 1951. Domestic demand progressively exceeded output, and in 1957, Mexico became a net importer of petroleum products. Production rose to 177 million barrels by 1971, with the exploitation of new oil fields in the Isthmus of Tehuantepec. So that's the point.
That's right. You got something?
Yeah, this is Genesis chapter 30, verse 14. And Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest, and found mandrakes in the field, and brought them unto his mother Leah. Then Rachel said to Leah, Give me, I pray thee, of thy son's mandrakes. And she said unto her, Is it a small matter that thou hast taken my husband? And wouldest thou take away my son's mandrakes also? And Rachel said, Therefore he shall lie with thee tonight for thy son's mandrakes. And Jacob came out of the field in the evening, and Leah went out to meet him, and said, Thou must come in unto me, for surely I have hired thee with my son's mandrakes. And he lay with her that night, and the Most High hearkened unto Leah, and she conceived and bare Jacob the fifth son. And Leah said, The Most High hath given me my hire, because I have given my maiden to my husband. And she called his name Issachar.
So that goes back to the omen, name sign. So his name was called, he is hired, and guess what? That was in the spirit, man. Okay? Now, do we read Deuteronomy 33? Okay, so we read that. Now let's go from there to the book of 1 Chronicles, the 12th chapter, and the 32nd verse. Now this is an important scripture because they came out with a movie called 2012, right? And it's based off of the, now get that ready on the tab, brother. You got the first tab, which is, it says something about Maya, and then the second tab goes into it, it follows suit, all right? And there's one of them tabs where it goes into the calendar. I think it's the Mayan calendar, the first one where it goes into the Mayan. It tells you about the calendar and so forth. It's down in there. You just got to find it, all right? But anyway, the reason why they made that movie, or when they made that movie, they based it off of the prophecy of the Issacharites, the Mayans and the Aztecs. And you know what? The Mayans and the Aztecs are right. But it doesn't mean that this man going to go down in 2012, but this man may go down in the next couple of months, in the next 6 months, in the middle of 2011. It could happen in 2012 or a little beyond 2012, but we're right in that time. In other words, we're not going to be here for another 50 years. You see the tension going on around the world, okay? Everything's in place for this man to crumble down, man. You see his bridges going down. He don't have no money. He can't build anything back, man. His society's going down slowly, but then the Most High is going to speed it up by causing them to go over there to Iran and Russia getting involved, and then they're going to have that nuclear war. They're going to have that third world war. So we're right in that time. So anybody that calls themselves being in the Bible that can't see that, then there's something wrong with you. Okay? All right, go ahead, Ak.
1 Chronicles chapter 12, verse 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
Read that again, nice and slow.
And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times, to know what Israel ought to do, the heads of them were 200, and all their brethren were at their commandment.
Now go from there to the book of Genesis, the 1st chapter and the 14th verse. I'm sorry, the 14th and the 15th verse. All right, go ahead.
Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. And the Most High and the power said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years.
Read that again slow.
And the God said, Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven.
The lights in the firmament of the heavens is the sun, the moon, a greater light to rule the day and a lesser light to rule the night, he made the stars also. So that's what we're talking about. The sun, the moon, and the stars. Go ahead.
To divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons.
Let them be for signs. What's a sign? An omen. Like I don't know if it's today or tomorrow, they had it on the news where they're going to have another, I think it's a solar eclipse. But it can only be viewed in Hawaii. That's a sign. That's a sign that something's getting ready to come. When Moses, before he was born, don't you know the Magi's, the stargazers of Egypt, they knew that there was going to be a deliverer because they saw the stars, the formation of the stars, and they said that Koltep, which is Halley's Comet, came through, and they said a deliverer's coming. Remember before the Lord was born, or when he was born, there was a star that Herod kept in contact with the company of wise men about the star. You can read it yourself in the New Testament. Read it for yourself in the New Testament, and they knew that there was going to be a Messiah, the prophecy of the king of Israel to take down Esau, pursuant to Numbers the 24th chapter, because it said a star shall come out of Jacob. So they knew about the stars, that the certain formation of stars or comets or eclipses. When the Lord was put on the cross, was not there darkness for the space of, I believe it was 3 hours? And it was what, 3 o'clock? I believe it was from 3 o'clock to 6 o'clock. Because they said it was the 9th hour, right? 6 in the morning is the first hour, right? 6, 7, 8, 9, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2. Actually, I mean 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. The 9th hour of the day was around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He was already on the cross. And what happened? There was darkness. Why? Because there was an eclipse. That was another sign. Alright, go ahead.
This is the book of Ecclesiasticus, chapter 43, verse 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of...
For a declaration of times. Now go back to Chronicles and then go back to the Apocrypha.
This is 1 Chronicles 12 and 32. And of the children of Issachar, which were men that had understanding of the times.
So what does that mean by the times? It means they can look up into the heavens and they can say, this is what's going to happen. When Israel went out to war, they're going to win the battle. Or no, don't fight on this day. Wait 2 weeks later. The high holy days. But in the case of Issachar, they looked at the stars and the Most High gave them the spirit to know that something major was going to happen. That's why everybody around the world points to 2012 coming from the Mayans and the Aztecs. All right? Go ahead.
Ecclesiasticus 43 and 6. He made the moon also to serve in her season for a declaration of times and a sign of the world. From the moon is the sign of feast, a light that decreaseth in her perfection. The month is called after her name, increasing wonderfully in her changing, being an instrument of the armies above, shining in the firmament of heaven.
Yeah, there's a couple of photos. This is on the Tihucan webpage from Wikipedia. It says, view of the Avenue of the Dead and the Pyramid of the Sun from the Pyramid of the Moon. And then when you scroll down, there's another picture. It says, and the view in the other direction from the Pyramid of the Sun. Should I go to Maya?
Go to the Maya.
All right. Now, I'm going to go to Maya. Yeah. Yeah, I got something of interest to you, too, to tie into what you just read, dealing with the observations. The tribe of Issachar, also known as the Mayans, and their observation of the sun and the moon and whatnot. This is under Maya in the Wikipedia. It's under notable constructions. It says observatories. The Maya were keen astronomers and had mapped out the phases of celestial objects, especially the moon and Venus. Many temples have doorways and other features aligning to celestial events. That just backed up what you said about how they could look up in the skies and know certain events were coming. Round tables often dedicated to Kukulkan, and perhaps those most often described as observatories by modern...
Can I say something?
Yep.
Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl, that's supposed to be YAHAWASHI. Right. Because YAHAWASHI came to the Americas after he left the apostles, okay?
Yeah, reading on. It says, many temples have doorways and other features aligning to celestial events. Round temples, often dedicated to Kukulkan, are perhaps those most often described as observatories by modern ruined tour guides, but there is no evidence that they were so used exclusively, and temple pyramids of other shapes may well have been used for observation as well. Now, if we scroll down, we go to mathematics. This is dealing with the calendar. It says, in common with the other Mesoamerican civilizations, the Maya had measured the length of the solar year to a high degree of accuracy, far more accurately than that used in Europe as the basis of the Gregorian calendar. They did not use this figure for the length of year in their calendars. However, their calendars, or the calendars they used, were crude, being based on a year length of exactly 365 days, which means that the calendar falls out of step with the seasons by 1 day every 4 years. By comparison, the Julian calendar used in Europe from Roman times until about 16th century accumulated an era of only 1 day every 128 years. That's pretty much it on that.
Yeah, so it's telling you that Esau knows that Issachar, they were heavy into dealing with the calendar, which a calendar has months. The word months goes back to moon. So they were able to look into the heavens and see actual prophecy in the making. All right? All right, go ahead.
Yeah, one more thing I had written down. It's under religion on the same Maya page. It says the Maya underworld is reached through caves and ball courts. It was thought to be dominated by the aged Mayan gods of death and putrefaction. The sun Kinich Ahu and Izama, an aged god, dominated the Mayan idea of the sky. Another aged god, God El, was one of the major deities of the underworld. The night sky was considered a window showing all supernatural doings. The Maya configured constellations of gods and places saw the unfolding of narratives in their seasonal movements and believed that the intersection of all possible worlds was in the night sky.
So that's right. Well, calculus, that there's a movie called, I believe it's called Stand and Deliver with Edwin James Olmos. And it was based upon a true story of these Mexican kids in L.A. that he taught them calculus, and they couldn't get it at first because it was advanced math. And he said, come on, that says. He said, this is in your blood. The Aztecs and the Mayans, man. They used to do this, man. And then he said, don't you know that his people, the Mayans, they understood the concept of a negative number. All right? He said Esau didn't even understand what a negative number is. Like you got -5. -5 plus 2 would be -3. If you understand positive numbers and negative numbers. All right? So that goes right back to the scriptures. Okay? You got anything else? Because I want to bring this clip out. Go ahead.
John chapter 10 verse 16. And other sheep I have which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
Now that's talking about the Lord was telling them that he's going to go, he's going to leave them, and he's going to go to the other side of the world. That's what the Mormons preach about. That how the Messiah came on this side of the world to the Americas and spoke to the Gadites and the Issacharites and the other tribes. And he told them that he was going to come back. Alright? So the Mormons know that much. Now I want to go to this clip right here. And this is what Esau has to say about the whole Mayan calendar and so forth, 2012.
'21 is the day, December 21st, 2012. Can you imagine going out perhaps early in the morning on that date, looking up and seeing a large, fiery, tumbling thing headed straight at Earth? Can you imagine that? We'll ask why the Mayans picked that particular date in a moment. I've always baited myself about the end of the Mayan calendar, figuring a couple of Mayans were sitting around. One said to the other, I've had it with this calendar crap, that's it. And that's when they stopped. They just got sick of making calendars. I don't know. But here we have a date, 21 December 2012, which could be the end of all, perhaps. Why that date? On what do you believe they might have based that? I'm going to ask how the Mayans might have known to pick that specific date, 21 December 2012. How did they know? We'll be right back. You believe all this is a recurring cycle of destruction, yes?
I think we have to be open to the possibility that it's a recurring cycle of destruction, because that's precisely what the ancient myths say, that there is some dark danger that visits the earth periodically over long periods of history. It may go away for thousands and thousands of years. It may be completely forgotten. It may be something that people never ever think about, but then, like a grim avenger, it comes back, it returns to strike us down. People never ever think about, but then, like a grim avenger, it comes back, it returns to strike us down again. And there seems to be some kind of cycle operating, which perhaps we don't fully understand. And I suppose the alarming prospect, and the one that should focus our minds and that we should consider seriously, is that this cyclical cataclysm spoken of in the ancient myths and in the traditions just might return in our own time. We should learn the lessons of history, that we should be aware that what struck our ancestors down may return to strike us again today. We could indeed be facing the return. All we have are the memories and the traditions and perhaps the warnings that have been passed down to us by ancient civilizations. And there's no doubt in my mind, very clearly ringing out like a bell, is a warning coming down to us from the past. And
do you think one of those warnings was issued by the Mayans?
Yes, I do. I think the Mayan calendar is extremely interesting in this respect. And the Mayan calendar does, of course, contain a prophecy which could be interpreted as a prophecy, literally, of the end of the world in our time, certainly of the end of civilization as we know it, and very specific dates. And the date the Maya put on it, translated into our calendar, is the 21st of December, 2012, as of course is very widely known. I think many people in the world today are aware of this ancient warning and slightly spooked by it, and rightly concerned by what it might mean. Now, it's not as simple as that. The Mayan calendar and the ideas that lie behind it are extremely complicated. The Maya were extraordinarily accurate and precise observers of the heavens, and that they had a very clear knowledge and understanding of time and the way that the passage of time affects the positions of the stars in the heavens, and in particular the positions of those stars lying in the background against the rising point of the sun on the horizon on particular days of the year. And what happens on 21 December 2012, and in fact really, as John Major Jenkins points out, we're looking more at a window here rather than a very specific and exact moment, a window of about 40 years. Now I think what's going on here is that the Maya are not saying that that in itself causes the disaster. I think they're saying that that is the marker by which we can recognize the return of the disaster. It's like a clock in the heavens, and their astronomy was so accurate that they were able to predict this event thousands and thousands of years ago.
Well, given that date and a 40-year window, our butts are just about hanging out that window now.
Our butts are right hanging out of that window now, and I do think that we need to take seriously what the Maya had to say, but that it also involves responsibly studying exactly what the Maya did have to say, and that is a very complicated message, not an extremely simple message.
You got, this is about a 10-minute piece, but you got the point. You got the point of this piece right here. Now, you want to say something, Mark? Yeah. You had something to say?
Yep. Yeah, this is from the webpage Teotihuacan. Underneath religion, it says, the religion of Teotihuacan was similar to those of the Mesoamerican cultures. Many of the same gods were worshipped, including the feathered serpent, the Aztecs Quetzalcoatl, and the rain god, the Aztecs Tlaloc. The dominant civic architecture is the pyramid. Politics were based on the state religion. Religious leaders were the political leaders. And it's interesting to note that Quetzalcoatl and Kukulkan means basically the same thing, which means the feathered serpent. Right. So
now, in the book of Psalm, the 68th chapter, it speaks about the Psalms, the 91st chapter, it speaks about the angels coming down and their feathers, their hands. That's in Psalms 91. That's in Isaiah. That's also in Psalms 68. Okay. Matter of fact, I believe that's in Psalm 68 and 13. Feathered serpent. And then it also speaks when Moses, when they left out of Egypt, the Most High instructed Moses to build this brass serpent, and that serpent was called Nehushtan, which means brass serpent. And the ones that looked up to it, which supposedly represent the YAHAWASHI, the snakes and the serpents wouldn't bite them. But the ones that didn't look up got bitten. All right? Go ahead.
Psalms chapter 68 verse.
And let me say this. This right here, these classes these shows that you watch are for more scholarly Israelites. You know, we're not focusing this on them guys that just want to hear us call the white man the devil and all that. We're going. This is not this is not entertainment. This is serious study. So if the Most High gave you that serious mind to get into serious topics, well, you in the right place. Okay. All right, go ahead.
Psalm 68:13. Though you have lion among the pots, yet shall you be as the wings of a dove covered with silver, and her feathers with gold, with yellow gold.
Yeah, because like I said, Kukulkan and Quetzalcoatl means feathered serpent. All right. Now, if you go to the book of Isaiah, the 6th chapter, and start from the first verse, it tells you about the wings, and it tells you about the seraphim and so forth. And the word seraphim means a serpent, or fiery flying serpent. Go ahead.
It says, Isaiah chapter 6 verse 1, in the year that King Uzziah died, I saw also the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple. Above it stood the seraphims. It says, above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke.
Now read from did the word seraphim come up? All right, go ahead.
It says, above it stood the seraphims. Each one had 6 wings.
Now it said wings. Wings normally have feathers on it, right? The word seraphim, and the brother's going to probably look it up, but I'm going to tell you what it means. The word seraphim means serpent or fiery flying serpent. This was basically a shuttle ships, groups of shuttle ships that came out of the so-called mothership, which was a big ship. And it mentions that when you read it down, because the Lord came out of the major ship. So you had so-called shuttle ships come down. Now, when I went to Mexico back in '87, I went to a museum called Museum of Anthropology. All right? And they had a tour, and they showed that, what was the name of that city? I forget the name of the city that they built where they founded Mexico. There was a prophet or a priest that said, look, when you see the eagle eating the snake, that's where the city's going to be built. And they built the city right there. That's where Mexico City, that was the center of the rest of Mexico, where Issachar dwelt. So in Mexico City, they have a museum called, and it was opened back in I believe it was '64. I went there in '87. That's a famous museum. Now there's a section of that great city back before Esau came on the scene, and the tour guide said, "Look, Quetzalcoatl came down among his people, and he taught them many things, and he said he's going back into the heavens." And when he left to go in the heavens, he left in a spaceship, and he said he's coming right back in a spaceship. All right? All right, go ahead.
It says, and above it stood the seraphim. Each one had 6 wings. With twain he covered his face, and with twain he covered his feet, and with twain he did fly. And one cried unto another, and said, Holy, holy, holy is the Lord of hosts. The whole earth is full of his glory. And the post of the door moved, and the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with...
Yeah, the post of the door moving represented that ship coming down. Now that was similar to this movie, a scene, the opening scene of this movie called The Fifth Element. Remember when them beams came down and the ships came down, and you heard that loud noise? Well, that was similar to that. Because Esau, like I said, Esau reads out this book. That's where he gets his ideas to make these sci-fi movies. All right? Go ahead.
Isaiah chapter 14 verse 29. Rejoice not thou, whole Palestina, because the rod of him that smote thee is broken. For out of the serpent's root shall come forth a cockatrice, and his fruit shall be a fiery flying serpent.
Now that's talking about the missiles, all right? Now I'm going to show you one more clip. This is dealing with Quetzalcoatl, which is supposed to be YAHAWASHI. That was YAHAWASHI when he came back. Now they're going to show this. I'm going to show you this scene from this movie called Blood In, Blood Out. Now you want to read that now, or you want to wait until after the scene? Okay, I'll wait. Okay, we'll wait until after the scene. All right. Okay, ready out.
Órale, mijo. This is Quetzalcoatl, the great Aztec poet king.
That's supposed to be YAHAWASHI, but they made him look Mexican. They gave him a Mexican look. Let's go back to it again.
Órale, mijo. This is Quetzalcoatl, the great Aztec poet king. He ruled the kingdom of Aztlan that was from Mexico all the way up here to Califas.
Sexy mamazota.
Canipas
Pay
is
attention,
the Americans.
pelao. I'm gonna teach you all about Aslan, because this vato's coming back someday to reclaim the Raza's kingdom. Gotcha?
Pero why do you put my initials on?
Because you helped me, say we did it together, carnalito. ¿Qué hubo?
Alright, so let's come back. Let's come back. Now, this is what I want you to go to. Go to the last, I think it's the last tab where it goes into Quetzalcoatl. That's Quetzalcoatl? Yeah. Okay, right. That's what I want you to get. Alright, go ahead.
Yeah, this is a web page entitled Was Mexico's God Quetzalcoatl Jesus Christ by Jean D. Matlock. Over 40 years ago, I discovered I could use linguistics to prove the Hindus.
It goes into a lot of mess. Scroll down. There's a key point. Criminal of this paragraph. Hold on, Pac.
Yep.
Okay, this right here. Right here.
Okay. All right. Quetzalcoatl himself wore a robe lined with crosses. The idols in the interiors of the temples where he was worshipped were crosses as well as the paintings on the wall. The Borgia Codex shows Quetzalcoatl and other humans crucified with him. I will just present in this article those of Quetzalcoatl and children. And you'll see the pictures, the Borgia Codex.
Let me say something on the Borgia Codex. The Borgia Codex was named after the Borgia family because they were the ones that commissioned the conquistadors to come over here to the Americas. They were a part of the whole damn thing, man. And I'm going to say this as a footnote. If you got Showtime on cable coming in 2011, if this double makes it that far, they're going to have a series called The Borgias. All right, and they're going to go deep into how wicked they were as a family. All right? Is there more? That's it? All right. Now, I want you to get me, this book is called They Came Before Columbus. All right? It says the African Presence in Ancient America. Ivan Van Sertima. Okay? And these people, the head of the Olmec, the giant Olmec, that's a Canaanite right there. Because the Canaanites were commissioned and set up by Solomon to go back and forth to the Americas. Because Israel didn't go back and forth to Americas, but they knew that the Americas were here, but they had the Canaanites go back and forth, which were later called the Syro-Phoenicians. And they were known for their navigable skills and so forth. All right? Now, go to that point.
All right, this is chapter 5.
So, you know, the more we do these shows and bring out this truth, these Edomites can't mess with us, man. We have too much information in the Bible and different documents and so forth. And it's all coming together. And more people are waking up to the fact that they're Israelites. All right? And more people are waking up to the fact that who the so-called white man is, he's an Edomite. And more people are becoming more spiritual and trying to figure out this Bible, and they're stumbling. A lot of them people, they don't come out and tell you, but a lot of them people come on our sites, them Edomites and stuff, and they be watching our videos. All right, go ahead.
This is chapter 5 on page 73. It's called Among the Quetzalcoatls. The Quetzalcoatl of the Mexican Valley documents was never blonde or fair, as stated by the friars, but virtually always pictured as black-bearded, and in illustrations had his face painted black.
So that's plain, man. So now, like I said, the brother read that paragraph right there, and it mentioned the Borgia Codex. The Borgia family knew about the tribes being over here on this other side of the earth. Right. And the Borgia family, we believe, is reincarnated back as the Rothschilds. So if the Borgias had that information back there, what you think they know now? They know that we're the Israelites. They know that the Most High is getting ready to raise us up, man. You got anything else, brother?
I think I
Okay, okay. Because we're going to close it out because we gave y'all, we don't want y'all to choke off this information. Go ahead.
First Maccabees 3:48. And laid open the book of the law, wherein the heathen had sought to paint the likeness of their images.
And that's plain and to the point. All right? And I don't know if the brother has anything of importance. But if he doesn't, okay. Okay, it'll probably be the next show, all right? But y'all brothers and sisters, brothers out there, and some of you serious sisters, the few of you serious sisters, you know, take heed to this knowledge, man. You know, because we're dead serious about this knowledge. And that's why you see so many videos out. You know, you got a lot of guys out there that make videos getting on other guys, and the woman look like that, and she called me, and I try to get with her. This is not, you can do all that bullshit, but we're going to give you straight knowledge, man. We're going to give you straight knowledge. Okay, you want to get serious knowledge? There's only one place to come to dealing with the nation of Israel. That's us. Not because we figured this thing out, but because YAHAWAH, bahasham, YAHAWASHI gave us the spirit to figure this thing out. He gave us the spirit to break these scriptures down. And like I said, we're that close to the end of this man's society. All right? So with that, I'm going to say shalom.
Shalom.